This is the 200th show of Sports Close-Up. Hello, my name is Mike Fiorello, and I've been the co-host of all of these shows starting back in 2011. It's been truly a pleasure. I will talk about two important men who made a huge contribution to this show. Former co-host Gary Clark, who passed away 4 years ago, and producer Jeff Corey, who passed away earlier this year. Without the contributions of these two men, this show would have never taken off. I also want to thank my second co-host, former SID of Allegheny College, Jim Berger, who co-hosted the show with me for 3 years. And a big thank you for my current co-host, Ed Marin and Pete Chido, and my current producer, Kevin Tomini. Now, from the year 2011, we will play our first show we did featuring one of the original hosts of Sports Close-Up, the late Jack Christy. So sit back and enjoy.
Mike, come on. We got a show to tape. Let's go.
Gary, I'm looking for the sign. We got to find the sign. Wait a minute. I think I found it. Give me this. I got the sign, Gary. Now we're ready to roll.
Mike.
What?
They built us a new set. We don't need the sign anymore.
We don't need this sign?
No.
Now they tell me.
Welcome to the first or second edition of Sports Close-Up. I'm Gary Clark, Mike Fiorello with me, and we're going to be talking Sports Close-Up, a lot of interviews, a lot of folks from the community, an opportunity for us to get a little insight on some of the folks. And our first interview, Mike, we're going to get to in a few minutes, but just a great opportunity to sit down and talk to Jack Christy, who one of the guys originated this show back in the early 80s. And what a fun day to sit down and talk to Jack.
No, it was exciting. It was a lot of fun, brought back many memories, I'm sure, for people out in the community that watched Jack's show. And he also talked about actually the first person that started it, which was Tony Stellato, former principal, by the way, of 2nd District School. Got the opportunity to know Tony, so I want to give a shout out to Tony. And then our good friend Fiore Bergamasco, Gary, took over for a little bit, and then Fiore moved on to North Carolina.
So I'm the first non-educator that's been in this.
Yes, you are. But you're like the liaison politician.
I see that. That my mother taught for 35 years. I guess that kind of gets me in there. Listen, you first of all, you have a trivia question to start with?
Yes, we're going to do something on our show every time the show is aired, and we're going to have a trivia portion of the show. And what we want you to do is send in trivia questions to ctv13@zoominternet.net. That is ctv13@zoominternet.net.
And for those of you folks that aren't from New York, that's ctv13@zoominternet.net.
Right, and that is to stump Gary and myself. And if you stump us with the question, then we'll give you a T-shirt from the station. You just have to come down and pick it up. But I have to start it rolling. I have the first question. I'm going to try to stump Gary.
Okay.
First question
is it a baseball, football?
Baseball question.
Baseball
question.
All right.
And that's all I can say, else I'll give the rest away.
Okay.
He wore number 7 his whole career. He was picked first by the New York Yankees in the amateur draft. Who is he?
Well, he didn't actually wear number 7. I'm thinking of the right guy, Mickey Mantle, who wore number 6 when he started.
Nope, it's not Mickey Mantle because they didn't have the amateur draft when Mantle signed with the Yankees.
Okay. So who wore number 7 his whole career as a Yankee?
Yes. No, he wore number 7 his whole career.
His whole career?
He was drafted number 1 by the Yankees.
Wow.
I'll give you a first hint.
Okay.
He played minor league ball with the Yankees but never made it to the majors.
How about Darryl Jones?
No.
No.
Second hint, he played football.
He played football. See, these Yankee fans give me these Yankee questions. I'm still.
Third hint, he went to Stanford University.
John Elway.
John Elway.
That's right. He was drafted by the Yankees.
First round, he played minor league ball with the Yankees because, as you remember, the Indianapolis Colts drafted him. He did not want to play with the Colts at that time and told them he would play with the Yankees. And then they traded him to Denver, and the rest is history.
That's right. Well, I'm gonna lay one on you, just because this is a surprise. The first show, baseball question. What was the nickname of the bartender who had the bar outside of right field in Fenway Park in the 19-teens, who had the final say on everything when they were coming with trivia?
No idea.
Nuff said.
Enough said?
N-U-F-C-E-D.
Nuff said.
Nuff said.
Okay.
That was the guy's name.
Nice
Anyhow,
way to
there you
name
go.
your son, Nuff.
Nuff. Well, that's a nickname, I think, probably.
Okay.
All right, enough of our trivia. Let's get to the interview. We had a chance to sit down recently and talk to Jack Christy, who we said originated this show, and did an outstanding job. And Jack now retired in Florida, but he had a chance to sit down and talk to Mike and me. And this is Jack's comments. Live from Florida, or directly from Florida, Jack Christy. Jack, good to see you. Good to have you back in Meadville.
Mike.
Yep, good
Nice
to see
to
you,
be with
Jack.
you guys.
Let's talk a little bit about, you didn't actually start the show, Sports Close-Up, but you were in there pretty much in the beginning.
All right, Tony Stellato was the first one to start it, and then for Fiore Bergamasco, he had it for quite a few years, and then I stepped in after Fiore left and went to North Carolina.
All right, that would have been, what year?
Oh, year I can't remember. Well, it would have been
Maybe the late 70s, probably, early 80s?
It would have been. I think it was in the 80s,
Okay,
really.
all right.
Because Tony was, it could have been close to the 80s.
And you
First part of the 80s.
And you filmed up in the old Meadville Master Antenna upstairs, right?
Oh yeah, we're a great big area to work with.
Not like the small office we sit in right now.
And of course we were live.
Yeah, the big difference.
Big difference. And Jack, some of your guests that you remember that you interviewed.
When we saw a lot of interviewed, when he had a Father Cannon banquet, they had a lot of people come in, and I got to interview Lefty Grove, one of the Hall of Famers,
Wow.
baseball New York Yankees, and Boom Boom Mancini, and Gary, I think it's Clark, not Clark, but Gary Anderson from
Close enough.
Pittsburgh Steelers kicker,
Yeah.
and I think Willie Stargell. And it was quite interesting, and it's nice to do. And what I try to do is have a variety of different activities and also a variety of people on, so that's a good idea.
When you, as a fellow interviewer, the question is, when you go to interview somebody, did you like to have your questions in advance, thinking about them, or did you just sort of wing it? It was an area you really knew about, which was sports, so.
All right, well, I knew what was the activity we were going to do. I'd write about 5 questions down.
Okay.
And we may get to 3 or 4 of them, or may get 1, or the conversation might drift off into
Sure.
something else. We're talking about skills or something like that.
Right.
It's a little bit different.
Well, when you've interviewed Lefty Grove, he must have been pretty old at that point. I mean,
Oh yeah, he
would
was
have
an older
gone-
individual with the Father Cannon banquet. I don't know how far back they had that, but all those guys are very cooperative, very pleasant people to talk to.
I remember interviewing some people from that banquet, the Meadville Sports Banquet over the years, and everybody always enjoyed stopping in small towns where they didn't get mean questions. They got more about what they were doing.
Oh yeah.
Go ahead, Mike.
I was going to say, I think, Jack, that's what Gary and I are going to do as we restart the show. And we're honored to have you on our first show because you're one of the mainstays with this show. And we're going to bring this show back on Armstrong Cable. And Gary and I want to bring back the interviews like you did, on a friendly basis and bring back some old veterans. And also, if I remember right, you also did a lot of coaching interviews at that time.
Oh yeah, definitely the local coaches, are important things, and the people are looking for the local coaches. They're not on TV or anything like that, and they get to know them individually when you have them on, and both women and men coaches on it.
Talk to us about your favorite interviews.
Oh,
Have any that stand out to you?
Well, all of the interviews, you feel, wow, usually we're talking to somebody really famous. And I can't think back of any one would really be the favorite interview. We weren't interviewing one time. We was working with the Allegheny football and the analyst on Allegheny football, and Bob Prince is sitting right beside us. he'd say hello and do a little talking to us once in a while, and you know how he was there. But all of them were great, and I just was overwhelmed by it, and I was just happy to be there.
It's kind of interesting you say that because I one time was doing a pregame for the radio station at the Pirates game in Three River Stadium, and I stumbled into Harry Callis.
Wow.
And we had an hour-and-a-half conversation, and he was just so outstanding. He was a wonderful guy to sit there and talk to.
Yeah.
So those are great opportunities.
Yeah.
And I know, Jack, you said you didn't have any favorite interviews, but the top three, probably I was in there because I remember being on your show.
Or maybe it was this one right now, actually.
Mike with the Sagertown Legion, yeah, he was in there, yeah, definitely.
You were a baseball coach?
Yeah, I coached Sagertown Legion. I remember bringing on Steve Sater, who's now coaching for Sagertown. He was a fabulous player, and Todd Schlosser and Dwayne Mosbacher at that time.
Yeah.
And we all were thrilled to be on your show back then. And as Gary said, you did it live right in the studio at Meadville Master Antenna at the time. And some of the people you work with, Joan Copeland, who's still working for Armstrong.
Jim Cook and Joan Copeland, yeah.
Jim Cook. And
They were the two main ones that I had dealing with right there. And of course, I forget who the guy was, the director, but all of them very nice people.
And
So, go ahead.
let's not forget, too, Jack, you know, Gary said you knew a lot about sports. You were the head coach of Meadville basketball for how many years?
Oh, yeah, I was 10 years. I came from Ford City High School. I coached at Ford City High School as head coach for about 5 years there. I coached baseball there for 14 years, but I moved up here and it was a lot different. And we played a lot of schools like Sharon and Farrell, and definitely it was a challenge for me coming up here and not knowing what was going on. Yeah, definitely.
How did you get from Ford City to Meadville? What brought you here?
Like I tell my wife, I drove. No, but no.
Oh boy.
The job. I knew Norm Sundstrom.
Okay.
And I
Norm, of course, was the athletic director, right?
I came after him, but I put the application in. At my years, I used to put a lot of applications in. I sent my wife up there. I said, well, I sent another application. I said, I don't know where you hear back, but I got an interview, which was good. And then next thing you know, Mr. Fry was superintendent of schools. He called me up and said, you got the job. And I said, wow. I did a lot of cheering to myself.
Were you looking to move out of Ford City then?
I was looking to move out of Ford City. Yeah, I wanted to get the head coaching job, and I knew that Meadville had an excellent program, and it was a step up for me, and so that's why I applied.
So you come to Meadville and you coach for 10 years. Then what?
Then what? I retired there, and I had Norm Price come in as the head coach, and I just taught health, physical education, and that was it.
And then you retired what year?
I retired in '93.
And what have you been doing with yourself since then? You've been in Florida, huh?
Yeah, well, we've been going down there since '93. Now we're last 5 years we're permanent residents, and we live in Cape Canaveral, and we're right on the beach down there. And we've seen a lot of the shuttles go up, and it's right where the port is, where all the big ships go out. If you ever come down, you're welcome to come down and stay in my place. I got 2 bedrooms.
We've got that on tape.
That's right. We'll be down.
Oh yeah, it's a beautiful area, and that's the
East Coast of Florida.
Oh yeah,
And
very
Jack,
good fishing.
And tell the viewers too. You were telling Gary and I about which you volunteered down at a golf tournament and some of the people you met.
Yeah, I worked as a volunteer at the Arnold Palmer Invitational for about 7 years down there, and that was real interesting to do. And just, you can't say too much to these pros when they're around, but just watching them and seeing them work on the greens and seeing them hit the ball and stuff like that, and their techniques and the sand traps is really wonderful.
And you said you met Jim Durant's on the course down there.
Oh, yeah. One day I'm walking down, up there, and I have a rest period, and I'm walking down to get something to eat, and then here Jim Durant comes walking down. I said, Jim, what are you doing down here? He said, well, I'm a member down here, and I play down here.
Yeah, Jim's been
that's
down there
nice.
about 10 years. Jim Durant's, for folks who don't know or may not know, is from Meadville, and he's big with the Pitt football program, and the son-in-law of George Barco and the Barco School of Law, of course, down at University of Pittsburgh. So, and you were telling us earlier that George Barco was the one that, when Pitt came up to Edinburgh, he got you guys to go up and do some interviews up there.
Oh, yeah, that was one important thing there. He's a big Pitt backer. And every time Pitt come up to Edinburgh, they were working out. We were up there interviewing the coaches and the players up there. And that was interesting, too. I think we were up there, and Marino was up there one year.
Okay. Wow.
And what do you enjoy still today? I know you like playing golf.
Oh, what I do? Well, I play.
How's your
I
game?
enjoy playing golf. Play twice a week, and our par, like my partner says down there, we play with him all the time. Our par is like 90.
Okay.
If we hit around 90 and we get between 100 and 90, we're doing a good job.
There you go.
Yeah.
I can agree with that. I don't have a problem with
yeah.
that. Speaking of golf,
And speaking of golf, since you like golf so much, Armstrong Cable is going to present you with 3 nice golf balls.
Oh,
to take
thank you
with
very much, Mike. I
They have the
appreciate that.
Armstrong logo on there.
Oh, that's good. Thank you.
if you save logos, there you go. You've got yourself some golf balls. So what's you guys health good? You and your wife, everything okay?
All right. Well, we have our 57th wedding anniversary
Oh my!
back in April. And it's a long time to be married, but
You bet.
I've enjoyed it very much.
Isn't the contract up by now after 57 years?
Yeah, it could be. But we're down there because all my kids like the beach. We used to go to the beach in the summertime. And my daughters are one in Erie and one in Denver and one in St. Cloud,
Okay.
Florida. And we have a good time. They come down and visit. We have an excellent time down there.
You know, Jack, you mentioned to Gary and I earlier about when you played football in college. What years were those, and how has the game changed?
What years? Okay, I played at Elon College. It's Elon University now in North Carolina, and I was there in the 49 to 53, and I played quarterback, the backup quarterback, and I played defensive halfback there, and it was a Division II football. But it changes. I feel the tempo of the game changed, the size of the players, the speed of the players, and things like that. And I can remember that we had some big players down there, but they weren't as quick as we had some guys weigh 250 and 280, and now you see those 250 guys, linebackers, moving like sprinters. Yeah. But favorite team is the Steelers. Definitely watch the Pirates when we can, but. We're with
This
them.
interview's about over, I guess.
Gary, being a Brown fan, didn't like that answer.
Oh, no.
Jets fan over here.
Oh,
So.
well, that's good.
Yeah.
We won't interject our thoughts into that, but well, you know, you've had a chance. What a great sports town Meadville is, and you were a big part of that for many years. It's got to be a lot of fun just to be around here in the 70s and 80s and see what, you know, just all the sports that goes on.
Well, I think the thing that I was impressed with is when I first come up here was the fan base of people were so interested in. I was coaching basketball, but they're interested in all the sports here, and they get behind the teams and support them 100%. That's the big thing right there, and that's why when you're coaching, you're thinking, well, you got to please the fans, and you got to make them proud of the team that you're coaching and proud of the community.
There's a thin line there because you can't let them coach your team. At the same time, you got to do something good to make them proud too.
All right, yeah, definitely.
I know I've done a lot of Meadville games over the years in radio, and Mike's been doing some. There's a passion here, still a passion for the football team, for the basketball team. I guess those two, the big ones, and the wrestling.
Correct.
Just really a passionate
hockey.
fan base, and hockey, of course, now too over the last 25 years.
And Jack, you know, you coached me. I'm going to put you on the spot a little bit here.
Uh-oh.
Oh, put the spot.
Name some of the players that really impressed you when you coached them. Some of your former players, if you can remember back.
Well, I woke up last night thinking that very thing.
Okay.
You know, and when I first came up, they had an excellent players coming back. Biff Crest, Dave Delo, and Davern, and Tommy Powell. And
Biff Crest, by the way, is my neighbor. Tommy Pyle's coaching football now down northeast, I think.
They were good to work with, and they were well disciplined as far as basketball was concerned. And Chuck Jones, I don't think he played point guard before I got him, but he developed into an excellent point guard, an excellent team leader in the teams. And they had, thinking back, we had Lou Saggio playing, and I think Dave Simpson, and we had Bruce Hunter. Bruce Hunter played when I first came up, and he was a slim kid. You wouldn't think too much about him, but he was good defensively and good offensively, definitely like that.
Who's on your coaching staff? Who are your assistant coaches?
Well, assistant coaches wise, when we come up here, Bernie Graham was the 9th grade coach, and Ray Inman come in as the assistant coach with me. And the most important part of the program is the younger program. And if the coaches down there do their job, then it's much easier for the varsity coach and the JV coach. But they stick with the system, and Bernie stuck with the system, and then Chuck Jones come in for JV coach a little bit with me. After Ray, he went into coaching girls basketball. But I stick with the system, and I think the success that I had, I owe it to the assistant coaches really, to helping me, so we didn't have to work on a lot of things with a varsity that we would have.
The fundamentals were there.
Yeah, the fundamentals were there.
You know, and that's true. I think that's true in any sport. I didn't watch hockey for 27 years now, and we're only as good as our 5-year-olds. You know, I mean, when you start teaching the basics of the 5-year-olds in hockey or in football or in basketball or whatever, the younger the kids, the more they learn the fundamentals, the better off they are, and the easier they are to coach later on.
Oh, yeah.
Jack, one of your teams went real far, if I remember right. How far did you go with one of your teams? Western Finals, I think?
Yeah, we were fortunate enough to get up in the Western Finals.
What year would that be?
Yeah, 71.
71, okay.
72, excuse me, 72.
Okay, 72.
And
was Biff's senior year.
we went through the division playoffs. I guess they didn't think too much of our team, but we had the motivation to get through it. And we opened up with Laurel Hollins up here at Wittenboro, and they were a strong team. And we went and played Westinghouse down at Westminster.
Ooh, okay.
And then we went to Johnstown on that floor over there, and the War Memorial Stadium was really something. And then they had
It was better for hockey.
the Altoona coach, who was the coach that used to coach at Mercer, Swager.
Okay.
And I thought he was all ready to go to states. You know, they were talking about they were ready to go to states like that, and we disappointed them because our guys played a real good game, and then we moved up, and we met the Tiger by the tail there. We met Farrell. And it was a good first quarter, and then they start popping them in from the outside. They had always had good outside shooters, and then they just got ahead of us, and we couldn't make up that deficit in the first half. And we've also scrimmaged Farrell during the season. And one team, I loved the scrimmage because they had a heck of a defensive club. And if you could play against them, you can play against anybody.
I remember in 72, by the way, going up to Tim Mullen's house, his dad's house, and watching Meadville on CTV 13 in black and white play a basketball game. If I'm not mistaken, one of his sons, one of the Mullen boys, told me that they had to practically put a seatbelt on the bench for the coach. Would that be for you?
No, that was for Norm Stunstrom.
Norm, okay, Norm, that would have been okay.
That was one thing they said to me. You stay on the bench, you know. Well, they come in with that one rule for a few years that even if you stood up, they give you automatic technical.
Right.
Yeah.
And now they can walk a little bit.
Yeah.
The coaches are allowed even in high school to get up.
They have a box. They
They have a box.
Yeah.
Farrell coached back then. McCluskey? Was McCluskey the coach of Farrell?
Oh,
back
yeah,
then, right?
yeah.
The legendary coach.
I scrimmaged him when I was at Ford City, too.
Yes.
But one time we were playing at Franklin, and the referee was right beside me. And all at once I stood up and said, "Get back, get back." He turned around and said, "Coach, that's a technical." I said, "What?" I didn't say. I said, "You stood up." That was the rule.
Wow.
And then after that, I think they found out that, my gosh, give the coach a little bit of liberty there. Because some of the coaches, I admit, went wild.
Oh, yeah.
But you got to have a little liberty to stand up and move. But I see you favor boxing, that's fine.
When you came to Meadville and started coaching, you brought up an interesting name. You said Franklin. When I came here, I found out quickly Franklin Meadville was the big rival in football and basketball. Is that true when you got here, too? You found out Franklin's the team you had to beat?
Yep, and it depended on the coaches, too. Oil City,
Okay.
they were a good rival to have there, too. But most of the teams we played were Warren. When Ed McGlumpy was up there, he was an excellent coach. He always had trouble up there playing. But, yes, there had a lot of good rivalry. But Franklin and Oil City were, and Warren here, the major ones, Franklin, Oil City.
And that was the old Section 2?
Yeah, old
that time?
Section 2, right.
You know, and that has not changed. Franklin, Meadville, the football game, the basketball, whatever, that's the game.
Oh, sure.
Especially when Bill Hager went down there
Yes.
to Franklin.
Oh, he wasn't there when I was
Yeah.
there.
He was down in the 90s, I guess it would have been.
Yeah.
But you coached against some legends, McCloskey.
Yep.
I mean, at Farrell, he was the big gun. I mean, he was the one that all the records are named after.
Yeah, Bud Laycock at Sharon was a big name too.
Okay.
You remember him. But one interesting thing about me was when I was at Ford City, I got to coach against the coach who coached me at Crafton High School where I played, Don Bennett. you know.
Okay.
I want to beat him so bad, so I played him at Ford City. He beat me by 15 there, and I went up to Sharon. He blew me out. But he had no mercy on me. But real nice. I coached against the coach who coached me in high school.
Well, Jack, it's been a real pleasure to sit down and talk to you for a few minutes. This is just, you know, bringing back a little history and just having a chance to chat with you again. It's good to see you.
I enjoyed it very much, and I wish you too a lot of success with the program, because I think this program will be important to the community.
Thank you, Jack. We hope so too.
Thanks, Jack. Good seeing you again.
Good
See ya.
seeing you.
Thanks, guys.
Mike?
Take care.
Thank you.
Jack Christy, who was the original voice, I guess not the original voice, but the one we all remember, the voice of Meadville Master Antenna CTV 13's Sports Close-Up. And a lot of fun to get a chance to talk to Jack. But it's been a long time since I've seen him.
Yeah, and he looked great.
Oh, yeah.
Didn't he, Gary? I had the opportunity to see him a couple days before out in the community, and I asked him to
dragged
come
him
on.
up here?
Dragged him up here. He was excited about it. He's in still good shape, plays a lot of golf
Sure.
down in Florida, Titusville, Florida, right?
Yeah, that's where I'll be going for my vacation this year. I'm
Yeah.
going to go move in with Jack for a couple of weeks.
He
decided.
invited us down.
Hey, it's his fault. He invited me.
invited,
you know,
yeah.
I'm a freeloader. I'll go to anybody's place in Florida as long as it's free.
Yeah, and that's been my motto, and a lot of people out there who know me know my motto's always been, if it's free, it's me.
I thought maybe it was you had short arms and deep pockets. I didn't. Listen, Jack talked about in the interview a little bit about, he called him Gary Clark, and I never kicked for the Steelers, so
Right.
Gary Anderson obviously did. But we got a little look back now, and Jack had a chance to interview Gary Anderson at one point, the kicker of the Steelers. And so we wanted to kind of give you an idea of what Jack did originally. So
Yes.
let's take a look at Jack and Gary Anderson talking a little football.
Larry, how's it feel working for one of the best National Football League organizations, the Steelers?
It's a great thrill for me, you know, coming out of college and first of all being around the tremendous players that were on the Steelers just 3 years ago, you know, the likes of the Bradshaws and Franco Harris and Jack Hams and Mal Blount. Just so exciting for me. And not only that, like you mentioned, we do have one of the few just great and solid organizations with the Rooney family. They're just a real pleasure to be around. It's kind of like a family situation down there, and they make you really feel important, and I like it, especially I think it all fits together with the city of Pittsburgh, and I have to say it, I just really thoroughly enjoy playing both for the Steelers and in the city of Pittsburgh. I wouldn't trade playing for any other team.
Hey, what do you prefer to kick off, the artificial surface or the natural surface?
I tell you what, it really doesn't matter as long as the natural surface is in good condition. The problem situation in kicking field goals is when you have slippery conditions. In other words, if you're on a grass field and it happens to be raining or it's rained a couple days prior to a game, and my left foot, being that I'm a right-footed kicker, I land real hard with my left foot right as I'm about to kick the ball. And if that has a tendency to slip somewhat, I don't care how good a field goal kicker you are, you're going to have a tough time making that particular kick. Now, on the artificial turf, you usually don't have to worry about the slippery conditions because the artificial turf can get slippery if it happens to snow and it gets icy. That's the only time. But otherwise, as long as the grass is in decent shape, it really doesn't matter to me.
How do you feel the Steelers are going to be doing next year? They had a young team and they come on strong.
I'm really excited about the upcoming year. I think everybody in Pittsburgh was. As you mentioned, we struggled last year. We were up and down all season long, and then we really came on strong toward the end of the year and won a couple of big ball games. And largely because of the contributions made by the younger fellas on the team. And we have just some outstanding young players, and it's real positive for the future.
Mark Malone is the quarterback.
I tell you what, I think he did an outstanding job the first time he really had the opportunity to play, and that's what a quarterback needs. You know, unfortunately, Cliff Stott didn't get that opportunity. He had to sit on the bench for 7 years. Fortunately, Mark finally got to play, and he's a real dedicated young guy as well as being a capable athlete, and he started to really pull the team together, and he also has outstanding leadership qualities, the kind of qualities you need to be a great quarterback in the NFL, and I think he's going to be the quarterback of the future for the Steelers.
Where are you most accurate from yardage-wise?
Extra points.
I mean field
I
goal.
tell you, I think
You're comfortable kicking at what yard?
I think I'm blessed with having a strong leg, and I'm comfortable. I should never land short with a field goal from 55 yards or in. 60 yards, I should be able to make that distance as well. I've always been a firm believer I can make 55-yard field goals just as consistently as I can make 45-yard field goals because I do have the leg strength. I never land short. You know, when you're back that far, the goalposts are the same distance apart. So as long as you hit it, you know, the angle doesn't particularly affect the kick when you're that far back.
All right, good luck to you and good luck to the Steelers, and maybe we get another NFL championship.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Boy, it's been a long time. Gary Anderson of the Pittsburgh Steelers and Jack Christy have a little chat there. Some news, Mike. Recently, Jim Thome, former Cleveland Indian,
Former.
hit his 600th home run. He first man to hit his 599th and 600th in the same game in 2 consecutive at bats.
He's Gary, another former Indian that got away and has done very well since he left Cleveland.
Well, he did
There's a
pretty
lot
well in
of those.
Cleveland too.
He did, but I mean, there's a lot of players out there that are wearing different jerseys that are doing very well.
Do you realize that
Cliff
at
Lee,
one time? All right,
CC.
you know what? You really don't rub this in, but you realize, of course, that when they started, he batted 7th, and Manny Ramirez batted 8th in the Cleveland lineup. That's how good the Indians were in the 90s.
Right.
So I had season tickets, went to a lot of games. When Jim Thome came back to Cleveland for the first time, it was a year or two after he'd left. And remember, he left on some less than great terms with the fans because he said he wanted to stay in Cleveland. Then he turned down their contract for a few $1 million more in Philadelphia because he left sooner. Well, the Indians made the playoffs 2 days before the Phillies did. So actually, they didn't make it any sooner. But anyhow, so in the next year he's with the White Sox.
Right.
At the Ryan Howard to come up. And I went over the game, and I had tickets. My usual tickets were between the home plate and the dugout, and they were about 10 rows back. So when you were to walk in, and when the players walked to the plate, they had no choice but to see me. So I made a sign.
So Thome was playing for the White
He
Sox.
was playing for the White Sox, and I made this sign that said "Et tu Thome."
Okay.
All right, from
Shakespeare.
Shakespeare, thank you. And how many other sports shows on this cable will you have them talk about Shakespeare? So
Definitely.
we did that. So anyhow, so I get to the gate, and the cop stops me, and he says, they're going through everything, and he said,
Right.
I need to see that what that sign says. And I open it up, and it says "Et tu Thome." And he looks at me and he says, I have no idea what that means. And I said, I guess they didn't teach Shakespeare at Cleveland Public Schools. So I nearly got put into the hoosegow, but I did get in the game. And
It's a good way to deal with the Cleveland police.
well,
Made friends.
always friendly,
Yeah.
good guys. Oh, anyhow, I'd never taken a sign before, and it's the last time I took the sign too. Eventually, it ended up under my car when I changed the oil.
You know, Gary just mentioned about Jim Thome. A lot of people feel that he shouldn't be in the Hall of Fame.
Really?
Yeah, they were talking about that recently because he's not, they say, a great superstar. He has 600 home runs, he'll have more than that when he finishes his career. And he's not linked to any steroids. You never hear one thing about Jim Thome. He's, to me, and probably to you too, first ballot Hall of Famer.
Oh, absolutely. And I thought it was interesting. The night that he getting ready to break the record, Bert Blyleven was on the TV, of course, the Twins announcer, and he was saying that others, the Derek Jeter thing was you thought it was the first guy to hit 3,000 hits in his life because the way that was a big deal. Now I understand it was a big deal because he's the first Yankee in the storied history of that great franchise, the first one to do that. But Jim Thome quietly has been a great teammate, and you know what? He still has a house in Cleveland. His wife's from Cleveland. He still has a love for there, and the story they told when he left, he said he had some of the writers over at his house and looked at him and says, "Do you think they'll ever let me come back?" So maybe someday Jim Thome will end his career in Cleveland. I got a hunch when he goes in as a first ballot Hall of Famer, he'll go in as Cleveland Indian.
Have the Cleveland hat.
He better.
That'd be nice.
All right. That will pretty much wrap up our show for the first time out, and we appreciate you.
Some of our future guests.
Oh, yes.
Be Ken Achenbach, the head football coach of the Meadville Bulldogs. Mike Kelly.
Mike Kelly, who is, we know him as Congressman Mike Kelly. He is also a Notre Dame alum, and he played for Era Parsegian. And we're going to talk a little Notre Dame football.
And that should be very interesting and
forward
get
to
some
that.
good information there. So that'll be great. So those are our 2 upcoming shows.
Now, we also want to mention on CTV 13, Channel 23, on your cable. You're going to be having some great live games come up later on in the season. So we got volleyball and football all season long, or we'll be bringing you some sports and some folks from, we have different folks that are going to do the play-by-play, et cetera, but we're going to do some high school volleyball, football, even some men's sports from Allegheny College. We're going to have men's college soccer from Allegheny College.
Yeah, that should be very interesting up there.
All right, for Mike Fiorello, I'm Gary Clark. Our thanks to you for watching. Our thanks to Jeff and to Kevin for putting the show together. And we'll see you next time on Sports Close-Up.
Welcome back to Sports Close-Up. We've been talking with John Reynders, head basketball coach of Allegheny College. It's at Allegheny County. And John, we mentioned Mount Union coming up Wednesday. It's going to be a tough game for you. But you have the tournament coming up, sponsored by Marine Bank, I believe?
Yes, we do.
On Friday and Saturday.
This coming weekend, Friday and Saturday night.
Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Sure can. It's going to be a good tournament. We have Geneseo State, Swarthmore, and Edinburgh on the tournament. Allegheny's been fortunate enough to win the tournament the last 3 years. So it will be coming into defending the title for the 4th year. The teams, the matchups, Allegheny will play Geneseo at 9 o'clock on Friday night, and Edinburgh and Swarthmore will play at 7. So we expect the first night to both be very, very good games.
Okay, and if they want tickets for that game, will they check with Marine Bank?
Check with Marine Bank. Tickets are available at Marine Bank or through the college.
All right. And of course, this tournament has been going on now for at least 4 or 5 years, right?
At least 4 or 5 years, yes.
Definitely it's the 4th year you're going to defend yourself. Definitely, and always has had some top caliber of teams, college teams coming in. Always has been well attended, I believe.
Yes, it has. 2 years ago, we beat St. Lawrence University, and I believe it was 3 overtimes, 110 to 104 or something like that. And then last year, we won the tournament. Right off the top of my head, I can't really remember who we beat in the final. LaRoche. We beat LaRoche in the finals.
You ever figure, I mean, would they ever, Edinburgh's been in a tournament, well, 2 or 3 years now, and do you ever want to get the opportunity to schedule Edinburgh on a home basis, maybe a little rivalry there, or is that not permitted by the PAC?
No, I think in the past we have done that. We've played Edinburgh. One of the things that I think Allegheny's trying to do and will continue to do is play schools in the Division III caliber. Edinburgh is a Division II school. They offer scholarships. Allegheny's Division III, and we don't. So we try to predominantly schedule Division III clubs. Now, I know next year we're branching out. We're playing Navy next year at Navy, and which is a Division I team.
Great.
So we're really taking a step up. And Davis Elkins is in our tournament next year, which is Division II. So we're definitely taking some steps up with Edinburgh as well, being Division II. And Tiffin that we played at the Coliseum was an AIA Division II, and they also offer scholarships.
But even though you don't offer the scholarships, and they do, the caliber of play that I've seen with Edinburgh and Allegheny in the past year, maybe 5, 8 years here, they've shown that even though they don't get scholarship, they get quite a quality ball player here.
Yes, we do, Jack. We've been fortunate, I think, through the recruiting efforts and that. I think we've been bringing in good players. I feel our players are very talented kids, but year in and year out, I don't know if we could compete with that type of program. I think Allegheny has made great strides in their basketball program over the years, but I'm not so sure that we're ready to step in and play in Edinburgh on a year in and year out basis. I'm not sure that the college, too, doesn't want to play schools a little bit farther away than Edinburgh on a more regular basis. I think it does the college good to get out and play some different schools from around the state and around the eastern part of the United States.
All right, that's a very good idea because the exposure, and then for just like the exposure in Cleveland there, you say it did the College of World of good, and
That's right.
kids maybe at the game there maybe want to go to Allegheny, and of course the alumni there can start pushing it there. Teams come up here to play.
Sure, I think it's helped us a great deal.
How about the team's progress so far? The success of the team isn't measured sometimes on win or losses, especially in the exhibition season. There are certain things you're looking for in the exhibition season. Maybe you don't, they don't go right for you, but it's preparation for the PAC, and that's the important thing, right?
Sure is. Jack, we're 1-4 right now, and I can't say by any means that myself or I know the assistants or the ball club is pleased with being that 1-4. The record, I don't think, is the vital thing. No, what we're looking for is improvement and development as a team. And until the Tiffin contest, we were very, very disappointed in that as well. I don't think that in November and then in our first 4 preseason games prior to breaking for Christmas that we showed a whole lot of improvement. We were disappointed in our play as a whole in every facet of the game. I don't think we played particularly good defense. Our offensive execution was poor, and our rebounding was atrocious. We just got beat up on the boards for 4 games. I think the Tiffin game showed that we have the makings of a good team. I think we showed some development. I think there are some things that are starting to fall into place. And like we talked an individual being in a rhythm, I think our team needs to get into a rhythm. I think we need to gain some confidence as a team in what we're trying to do. And I think Tiffin started to show that at least we played in spurts. We had some good efforts for extended periods of time against Tiffin, which we just weren't getting earlier. And I'm quite sure now, I have a feeling that this is going to be the turning point in our club. We have to continue to improve. We're not as far along right now as we'd like to be. I don't think this club right now is ready to defend their 4th straight title and go on to win it. I don't think we are. I think we need to continue to improve, and if we get to that point where I think we can, then I think we'll be a tough club. But we're not there yet. We need to continue to develop.
On a Tiffin game, too, you come back to winning 6, and, of course, you lost Nestor there,
right.
And he was showing a lot of spark, a lot of hustle, and it looked like to me showing a little bit of leadership, and then he got that 5th foul, and out he went, right?
That hurt us. There's no doubt that losing Bruce hurt us. I think even more than that, though, we did some things in the first half that put us down 10 at halftime. We're starting to get into a pattern where we're burying ourselves in the first half. We have inconsistent periods of play, whether it be 3, 4, 5 minutes. And to be a good club, you've got to eliminate those. And for us to be successful, those are the things that we have to eliminate.
Okay, last year, slow start, good finish, though.
Last year it was. We didn't get off to quite a slow start in the preseason.
The PAC, there you go.
In the PAC, we ended up losing, or we started losing 3 in a row and finished with a rush to win 9 in a row to win the league. I'd rather not put ourselves in that position this year.
No.
As a coach, it makes you crazy when you got to win 9 in a row to win it. But I do think that the club has the potential to turn around. We've got to. We have the talent there that can win the 4th title. There's no doubt about it. What we have to do is get everybody playing as a unit, get them playing together, and I feel quite certain we can improve.
All right, banging the board, playing as a team more, and that'll be it.
That's right.
All right, Coach, how would you evaluate the PAC this year? You're going to see some of the teams that were maybe down a little bit last year, maybe coming to the fore, or what?
The PAC as a whole looks stronger than it's looked since I've been at Allegheny. This season, it seems that the PAC overall record-wise in the preseason play has been the best it's ever been. There are almost everyone in the league this year has a winning record going into, at least at this point, going into PAC play. So it's the type of thing where we really don't know where the stiffest competition or where they rank us right now. I think we're in a position now where I think people are starting to say, hey, Allegheny isn't playing that well. I don't think right now you could establish a clear-cut favorite in the PAC. There are some teams that are playing very, very well that maybe haven't gotten the recognition and publicity the last few years, but they've got a lot going for them. They're hungry. They want to win that first championship.
All right, in the past, and Hiram has been pretty strong.
Yes, they have.
And also Carnegie Mellon has been pretty strong.
Yes.
And of course, last year I think John Carroll, I'm not sure.
Bethany last 3 years, Bethany has finished second.
Right.
So they're the type of team that year in and year out, they're well coached. They have a good program at Bethany. They're always going to be tough.
So no matter what they're doing now, the rivalries are so
That's right.
good.
And when you're coming in, I think every team wants to beat the defending champion. I don't think that when Allegheny goes into a gym, everybody's ready for you. That's the game. You can make their season if they beat you. So I think our kids have to realize that no matter who they're playing, they've got to be ready to play.
All right. Now, this year's team in relation to last year's team, not in comparison, what are we seeing different, if any, with this year's team? Have you changed your philosophy from when you first started this year, or did you change your philosophy how this team's going to be this year? What are we going to see?
Not too much difference, Jack. One thing that we're trying to do offensively is be a little bit more patient. We're a little bit weaker on the boards than we've been in the past here the last 2 years, and I don't think we can give our players the freedom to shoot the ball from the perimeter quite as often as what we did in the past. We don't have that big stud in the middle who's going to get it off the glass and get us that second shot as much. So we have to be a little bit more selective. We're going to be a little bit more patterned in our man-to-man offense. We're going to be a little more patient against the zone and look for that real good shot. Other than that, we're still going to try to get it out and run. That's our strength. We don't have good physical size, but we have good quickness and speed, so we have to utilize that.
So you're going to be more or less maybe a pattern type of ball club, but when you get the break, you're going to take it?
Yes, we are.
And then
Definitely.
after you score in your defense, or after you miss and you don't get the rebound, in your defense, what's the philosophy for this year?
We're basically a man-to-man team. We try to utilize our quickness and deny some passing lanes. We're trying to deny the reversal of the ball, keep it out of the middle. We like to push everything towards the outside. Pretty much we're consistent that way over the last 3 years. We're very firmly a man-to-man concept team. I think that's the way that good clubs develop. And that's definitely, I think, one of our keys to success the last couple of years. So we're going to stay with that.
You don't change up too much from man-to-man to zone, Coach?
Not too much, Jack. We've stayed pretty much consistent with man-to-man. Now, we have played some 1-3-1 zone in the past, and we'll play a little bit of 3-2 zone this year. But we only like to use that as either a protection against fouls, or if a club is having a great deal of difficulty shooting the ball, then we'll go to zone.
How about a lot of times you see teams that'll be basically man, but they'll go zone on the out-of-bounds plays. Now, what's the philosophy behind this?
We zone out of bounds as well underneath the hoop. I think today's offense has so many picks and rollbacks and so many things you can do off the out-of-bounds play, especially underneath the hoop, that most clubs are going to zone. I think it eliminates a quick rollback on a screen or popping somebody open for the easy inside shot. Most teams' defense on out-of-bounds plays underneath the hoop are designed to stop the layup. And if it's going to give up anything, you're going to give up the 15 to 18-foot jump shot. So we go zone underneath.
And make them fire from outside.
We'd like to try.